Elsetti maybe.
Yeah, we call it the yak horn Elsetti. We don't like them particularly.
It's unofficial.
Welcome back to a new video brought to you by the Spadone project. Here is Nick and Julian. Today we are in Aargau Museum, specifically the museum's depot, and we are bringing you the longest and most massive 200 Zod we have found in collection so far. Before discussing the sword, remember you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can support us on Patreon, of course, if you want. You find the link in the description. And yes, let's describe this beast. Prepare for the
No, it's actually
bench
not
press.
that heavy, it's just if you hold it too long in a certain way.
I will help you.
It's okay.
Okay, I would start with the statistics because they are massive. So lengthwise is 1.95 meters, so really is taller than me, and I'm pretty tall. Weight-wise, we are 4.8 kilos, so even for the Swiss standards so far, closer on average to 3 kilos something. This is pretty massive.
But not the first one we had in that.
Range of 4, maybe something in Zurich.
And Bern, I think.
Okay, but in that case was really decorated and later one.
Yes.
Here seems to have some features more connected to martial culture in the strict sense. Point of balance, we are close to 81 millimeters from the, from the crossguard. Don't crash my laptop, please.
No. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And it's heavy. I don't know how much time someone would be able to swing something like this without getting exhausted. So even more if I think of someone wearing maybe some piece of armor for protection.
But at the same time, it's not like unwieldy. Like when you hold it and have the feel a bit, I agree, it's heavy, you do not do it for too long, but it's not like this is too heavy. If you start swinging that, probably...
Maybe momentum is helping you a little bit, as should be with this kind of weapon.
Otherwise you can change the livery.
Absolutely. And another interesting feature, of course, is the thickness at the ricasso, that of course we expect to have something massive on this size, and close to the crossguard we reach 12 millimeters, 0.25, so
probably the thickest we have seen so far.
Massive, absolutely massive. No marks on the blade, if I remember correctly. There's just this really scratched out imperial globe. Is pretty common.
With a cross inside, I think.
Yes, but in general is the kind of mark we found in many weapons of this kind. And here there's another mark, pretty obscure, is really scratched out, is some kind of combination of crosses or X lettering. And we have two fullers here. They do not get to the crossguard, they just finish here close to the ricasso. And another thing we found fascinating is this part of the blade. We have a forge weld, is pretty visible. So this part of the blade was connected to the ricasso, and we discussed this with Adam of the Landsknecht Emporium, and he suggested that different kind of metal were used according to physics needs.
Yeah, and here you don't need to heat treat, and this should, so higher carbon and stuff, if I remembered correctly. So they still can be connected, but this is different than the ricasso.
Yeah, and a reason for this forge weld might be also budget, so different materials, different costs, and we may presume this part has a higher level of carbon, so more costly for the period, and so you need to have this just for the very important part. Here, maybe you want
just wrought iron.
Yeah, something with less quality.
The hilt.
Yep. The hilt has gilding. Is not the first sword we measure with gilding on the hilt, specifically, of course, crossguard rings and as well as pommel. You find a link in the description with a video where we discuss specifically sword in this collection with this particular kind of decoration and the reasoning behind the fact we think this might not be an original gilding added to the crossguard and the rest of the sword, of course.
I mean, original not meaning when it was first acquired for the Zeughaus.
Yes.
But not original in the sense done this century. Yes. The shape of the crossguard is a bit differently than what we saw today, with flaring out points, like the finials and the small
little
dots.
button,
We have seen that several times, but for today it's a bit different than the other ones.
Yes.
And
then we have
thank you. Let's do it like this.
Yes.
Again, cord wrapped. We have seen these the last days very often in Lucerne, here in Bern before. What's nice here as well, they have a spiral cord wrap around the full length.
We have seen it in Bern. Usually we find this kind of spiral wrapping in Italian handle. In this case specifically, the way the spiral is made differs from Italian production. But for example, what was interesting in Bern, it was paired with a crossguard with a really long ecusson that is at least an Italian inspiration, some Italian vibe on it. So maybe this kind of spiral was taken from a North Italy way of furnishing the handle.
And the connection to Bern again fits because this is from the armory of Aargau, in Aargau even, I think, which is a city. And that was part of the canton of Bern for a long time, so you still have the geographical connection. Then quite a massive pommel. I mean, more massive than what we saw today, but the swords were about 169 to 170 something, not 196. And a huge pin block here, while the pin itself is quite small. It's just 4 millimeters visible. I forgot. We forgot the Elsetti maybe.
Yeah, we call it the yak horn Elsetti. We don't like them particularly.
It's unofficial.
And usually they are found on late German production, maybe paired with a wavy blade. Is not the case, of course. And
this also helps us with dating a tiny bit.
Yes, exactly. So we think is not earlier than 1550, around that, maybe a bit later, like a decade later.
Yes.
And if they are paired with bent down crossguard arms, we tend to date them later.
Yes.
In this case, having this feature paired with this kind of crossguard might be a sign of something closer to the mid of the century.
Yes.
We have seen something like that even in Zurich. More specifically, we had a sword with bent down crossguard. Pretty weird if compared to our usual Schlagschwert from the period, but the interesting thing is that sword has had the name of the owner engraved, if I remember correctly, maybe even a date.
It had a date, 1564. There were actually two of these blades.
Yes.
One we measured in Zurich, one in Bern. Same style of decoration and Diefstädter blades. So they were produced in Munich, but the names were of guild members, as far as I remember, in Switzerland.
Okay.
and with the date 1564.
Yes,
and
and
you're
in
right.
that case, the kind of Elsetti is the same. So
yes, but they also had the bent crossguards, right?
yes.
So more Swiss again is keeping the straight crossguard in combination with even
yes.
the yak horns already.
Okay.
I think we said most of what we wanted to say about this.
No, I think it's all.
Yeah.
So
I have it. You can
yes.
do the outro.
So you can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to follow future videos. You can support us on Patreon. It's just some euro per month. You get a monthly update about what we are doing behind the scene. And of course you support what we do. So traveling more, visiting collections, buying books, gear, and things we need to measuring and bringing on the research. So thank you for watching this video and see you with the next one. And that's it. Bye bye.
Bye.